into another Unbearable podcast. This is a pretty somber one. Bears are defeated by the Los Angeles Rams on Monday Night Football. I'm Ryan Voss. With me, as always, my co-host Drew. Drew, how are you doing?
Not as good as I feel like I could be. It was obviously just embarrassing. I mean, from start to finish. We're going to get into it, but as just an over, if I could sum this game up in one word, it'd definitely be embarrassing. That was embarrassing.
Yeah, we could be the embarrassing podcast. It was an
This
unbearable
episode.
game to watch. It just wasn't good. I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait too long to get into it. So we are going to bring in our special guest. I think he's literally going to go to Matt Nagy, go to House Hall and yell at Matt Nagy himself. So we had to bring on Mr. Rage himself. Fan favorite, Big Mike. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing the best I can after that L, man.
Yeah, not good.
We were summing up the word in one game, and I said, or summing up the game in one word, I should say, and I said embarrassing. Is there one word that you would use to sum up this game?
Weak. Just straight up weak.
Yeah,
we're recording this on Tuesday night. We couldn't do it last night just because we were too upset.
It was just I wasn't in the mood. I don't think any of us were really in the mood. I think it'll be funny. I want to read some text messages, maybe me and some other Bears fans exchanged during the game. First one's coming from my dad, who's an avid listener. Text me, he stinks and they stink. He referring to Nick Foles. And then I said, I don't think we're going to make the playoffs. And he says they have no business being in the playoffs. And this one was just between me and Big Mike, which he started it off the conversation. And he let me know that how bad he was not having fun watching this game. Soft as F. We're getting beat. Roquan is a effing P. It's just bad all around. And no one was having fun watching that game.
I think the sad part too is we're 5-1, and we're like, you know what, we're rolling with Foles. Trubisky didn't work, but I think tonight we officially saw it's the same old shit with Foles as it is with Trubisky, and now it's starting to look like Matt Nagy is a huge problem.
You know, can I add something in
I
here?
wish we could centralize because. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going to say something. I think the Chicago Bears have the worst offensive line in the league right now.
Okay, well, you got to cut them some slack. I mean, they are down 2 starters after, halfway through last night. So, they are bad.
But I think that's what he's saying. With our backups, that makes us the worst in the league.
Yes.
Yeah. And
so
I don't know if we're the worst because
I think so.
Cut
sorry.
Who?
I think we need to cut Foles some slack a little bit at least, because it's kind of hard to throw the ball with Aaron Donald in your face every single possession, every single play. I think that we would have hit Mooney when he beat Jalen Ramsey that one time when he was in the end zone, but he didn't have enough time to throw the ball, and that's why he overthrew him. That you take away 7 points for us there. And there's countless others. Our defense should have came up big on some turnovers that they didn't. And it's the reason why we lost.
Drew, go ahead, but then I want to come back and talk about what you talked about Nick Foles. So.
Okay, yeah. What I wanted to say though too is it would be easier because last year basically what we were saying is, Trubisky just stinks. That was basically what we're saying. We get rid of Trubisky, boom, we're a playoff team. This year, it's just everything is terrible. Our offensive line is awful. We're not calling good plays. We still don't have a good quarterback in my eyes right now. So now we have all sorts of problems, and that's not a good sign.
I want to say I'm actually fairly impressed with the way Nick Foles played last night. Other than I think he's making throws, and they're a lot more accurate than Trubisky's. And when Trubisky, we would always see the guy get open. Trubisky overthrew. The only time we really saw that was last night to Darnell Mooney, and that would have been a touchdown when we were backed up in our own end zone. But other than that, even when Foles has to throw into double coverage, he's putting it in where his guys could make a play, and they just don't. He's really accurate with his throws. And there was that comment in the broadcast where Nagy's calling plays that Foles doesn't have enough time to run. And I know that was kind of his words were twisted, but that really does make me think that maybe Nagy's the problem. I think Foles would be good, but Nagy's kind of holding him back.
I could understand what you're saying, but at the same time, Matt Nagy is trying to call plays that he thinks will work. Whether he thinks there's going to be time or not, he's not trying to simplify and dumb down the play calling because our offensive line is weak, which maybe he does need to look into doing. But if he thinks these plays are going to work and they just have no chance to develop, how can you really fault that? Although I wasn't a big fan of Nagy's play calling yesterday, particularly, and this is something that me and Voss, we've talked about before, it's 4th and 1, they go for it, and then they hand it off to Cordell Patterson out of the backfield like a toss. Why would you do that? That's terrible. That should have ended a long time ago.
I mean, you have to call plays that develop quickly against Aaron Donald, probably the best defensive lineman arguably ever. I mean, come on now. Like, Nagy's got to use his head a little bit there, in my opinion. Plus, inside of the 10-yard line, even the announcer said, they're taking out Jimmy Graham, and this is where his strong suit is. Well, yeah, no shit. Like, he's 6'7". I mean, and then they take him out, and then they throw a pick. I literally texted my dad. I'm like, watch him throw a pick. They took Jimmy Graham out, and he falls through a pick.
Yeah, but Foles also should not have thrown that ball. That was just a dumb decision. I mean, that was just a dumb decision.
6'7", 6'8" beast, absolute beast out of the
It
game.
Doesn't matter if that dude on that play was 7'5". There's no way he was going to be able to catch that ball.
Man, I don't know about that.
I just don't think the Bears were ever going to win this game. I mean, as a Bears fan, they're 5-1. I think us three in particular are really hyping them up. I know I spent so much money on Bears merch this year, but when you look, and we were all talking too when the spread came out, it was +6, and we're like, that's disrespectful. The Bears were never supposed to win this game. And I've said it so many times on this podcast that I don't think any quarterback's going to do good when you got Aaron Donald coming right at your face and Jalen Ramsey locking down a whole part of the field. Like, no quarterback's going to succeed, especially when you're down one offensive lineman going into the game. You lose your second best offensive lineman in the game, and you're just not a good offense to begin with. There's only like one game where we're over 20 points. Like, this team is never going to be able to compete with someone, especially with the Rams. Like, the Rams have had their ups and downs, but they're a good team. I mean, just a few years ago, they were in the Super Bowl and had one of the best offenses in the NFL. It's all the same players, so there's no reason they can't be that again.
And are you saying this is like a get real moment? Or are you just saying we're not as good as these top end teams this year? Is that just how it is?
Now that we're 5-2, we got the Saints and we got the Titans. We're gonna be 5-4 like that, especially with this offense.
Yeah.
We got to win one of those games, at least against the Saints.
We're not beating Tennessee for sure.
We're not beating.
We better hope we beat them.
We know that. We know Derrick Henry's going to get over 200 rushing yards against our team.
Okay, see that? I'm not saying all that.
Okay, no, but hear me out. The Rams running backs aren't like the greatest like ever, but they ran all over the Bears defense, and I can only imagine what Derrick Henry's going to do. It's going to be really bad. I mean, yeah, it's going to be embarrassing.
It is. No, it is. And I think part of the reason why this is so disappointing is because, like Voss said, we were 5-1 coming into this game. And when your team's 5-1, you're not thinking, oh, they beat all these trash teams. You're like, oh, my God, we're 5-1. And then we play someone good, and this is the result. And if this is how it's going to be, if we are able to sneak into the playoffs, it's going to be ugly when we get there, the way that things are looking right now. I think there was only one positive thing that I could look back on from the last game and say, like, yeah, that was nice. It was Cole Kmet's catch, I think, in the first quarter. He made a really nice catch. But beside that, there's like nothing where I'm like, oh, they did that pretty good.
I feel like they have to put Cole Kmet in the offense a lot more. They have to start throwing to him a lot more because obviously he has talent. When he caught that ball over that defender on the left side of the field, he has talent. And I just don't think Nagy has been putting him in the offense as much as he could. And I think that's something that needs to change.
If we were going to talk upsides, Cole Kmet definitely. I mean, he had a huge play. I think Darnell Mooney looked really good, even though he didn't necessarily get the ball in his hands. He was open a lot. And number 3, I really was okay with the way Foles played. I think a lot of what went around wrong, I know, I saw your look, Drew, was the offensive line and the play calling.
I agree.
But whenever you throw an interception in the end zone, it's hard to look at that game and be like, oh, he had a good game.
Okay, but every one of Foles' interception this year, I feel like I can excuse. If there's no interception, or like, what the fuck was he doing? Like all his interceptions have come on in the end zone or off tip passes. You don't have the Trubisky interception that got him intercepted. Like he's a good, sound decision maker. I mean, this guy's a Super Bowl winning quarterback just 2 years ago. I mean, I really
Yeah, but
like
that
the
was
guy.
2 years ago.
Okay, yeah. But like he has the experience, I feel like, to get us.
2 years ago, Tom Brady was on the Patriots. 2 years ago, Mitchell Trubisky, we were saying might be the next big thing. That's in the past. We need for Nick Foles for what he is right now. And right now, he's got to stop throwing interceptions in the end zone.
I mean, I never thought Mitch was going to be anything, to be honest with you. I don't care if he had that good year or not. I mean, Mitch is just trash, bro. Like straight up trash.
They should bring him back in.
What?
The offense, okay, not because I think he's better than Foles, but from a standpoint of, look, does the offense as a whole look any better with Foles and Trubisky? No.
Okay. All right. This is what I want to talk about next. So everyone always said Trubisky was the problem. He's out. Same problem still persists. So obviously Nagy's the problem. And I'm going to be the first to say, I think Matt Nagy's a good coach. He's not a good play caller. Okay? I really, really like Matt Nagy as a head coach. I also really like Ryan Pace as a GM. I'm not calling for either of them to be fired. If they make the playoffs this year, they deserve another year. If they don't, then okay, then I hit the panic button. But I think Matt Nagy needs to give up the play calling, and then things might look better. Matt Nagy's never been a good play caller, but he's a good head coach. He's 25-14 through his first 39 games. He's got this team to the playoffs in his first year with a 12-4 record when they were 3-13 the year before, or 5-11. I forget which one it was, but I mean, he's a good coach.
They were trash.
He's got the club going. He's got. I mean, when the guys are playing good, I mean, he really gets these guys going. I think he's a great coach. He just needs to give up play calling. What do you guys think about that?
I feel like Pace needs to give up the draft picks. He needs to have somebody else draft because he is just a terrible. I mean, he makes good trades and stuff like that, but
who were we just highlighting? We just highlighted Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet, his 2 draft picks. Darnell Mooney's a 5th round.
And then let's talk about the first round. Let's talk about
who scored the only touchdown today? Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson was a 4th rounder. No, what GMs are getting all these sleepers in the late rounds? He sucks in the first round. He's great in the second round.
Yeah, he sucks. He sucks. Like
we should have someone. We should hire someone to just make our first round picks for us. That's it. That's their only position in the world.
I don't think it's a very good draft in the draft. Besides, like maybe a few late ones, but I mean, our first round picks have been rather laughable throughout the past few years.
I think we've only had 1 or 2 since he's been our GM, though, because we traded 2 for Khalil Mack. So besides Trubisky, I don't even know if he made another pick beside Trubisky.
Roquan. I think it was Roquan.
Oh, yeah, Roquan. Yeah, he's not that good either.
Yeah.
Wait, what about Roquan? All right. Let's go to defense. Did you say Roquan wasn't that good either?
Don't say Roquan good because he got absolutely manhandled in that 1-to-1 tackle on the end zone. He got absolutely manhandled.
He's a solid middle linebacker. He's a solid starter in this league. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be starting because he definitely does. But if people are going to say Leonard Floyd was a bust for his production and where we picked him, we got to start having those same conversations about Roquan Smith, in my opinion.
Yeah. And we were afraid that Leonard Floyd was going to go out there and show us up. He certainly did. 2 sacks.
Okay, he's good in prime time. There's actually stats where his prime time numbers, it's like 11 games, are just as good as the other 40 games he's played in. Like he just shows up when the lights come on. And I said that last week. I said he always plays Green Bay well. Whenever there's like a high pressure situation, that's when he plays his best. But we're getting off on a tangent here. Like I feel like we could do a podcast where we talk about Ryan Pace's players. Because how many players drafted after Roquan would you?
We should do a special episode where we just break down every pick Pace has made and gave it a grade, like a letter grade.
This is an off-season talk, but let's keep talking. Okay. Since we're on the defense, how do we?
But you were talking. Okay, I don't want to jump around, but you were talking about Matt Nagy giving up play calling just a second ago.
Yeah. Okay. We can finish up the offense.
Okay, I would maybe not be 100% opposed to trying that out, but who do we have that's going to call plays?
Bill Lazor. He's our offensive coordinator.
Has he ever called plays before?
Yeah, for Cincinnati.
Oh, when?
I'll look him up. You guys keep talking.
Okay. Because if it was the last few years,
No, I don't think so.
I wouldn't give him the duties. I'll tell you that right now. They didn't look too odd.
Hopefully we'll let Marvin Jones coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he made Andy Dalton actually look pretty decent if that was his responsibility.
He was offensive coordinator from 2017 to 2018 with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, yeah. No. Nagy's keeping his job.
He was
got
also
a lot of security
offensive
right now.
coordinator for the Miami Dolphins 2014 to 2015.
Pretty sure they were bad that year. But they also had Gase, I think. So I'm not going to say that was 100% his.
No, not back then.
Oh.
But it's okay.
I think we need to hire a new offensive coordinator that can call the plays for next year, I feel like.
I don't know if Nagy's the coach next year. It depends how these next second half of the
season. If we don't make the playoffs, he's not going to be the coach next year.
If we don't make
and
the
I'd be surprised if Pace still had his job as well.
Yep.
Because they went all in with the Foles Trubisky thing, and if neither of them can get us to the playoffs, that's it. They're done.
That's what was so upsetting about last night is because I think we realized what we really were, what we're really capable of, and we realized that we're this close from being out of the playoffs 5-4 in the next 2 weeks. Like it's not a good look. I mean, when you're 5-1, 5-0 in the division, and if you don't make the playoffs, that's just embarrassing. Again.
Especially the way the NFC West is looking, where all four of those teams look like they could be playoff teams. It's not going to be easy getting in this year. And I don't know if 10-6, even with another team, is going to cut it. The only thing that we can have saving hope for is that we obviously know only one NFC East team is going to make it. Like, we know that for a fact. But the Saints could still get in. Tampa Bay is looking like they're going to get in. Green Bay, and then all the teams in the West. So it's still loaded, even with the extra spot.
We got to control our own destiny. If we can go out, and we're going to beat the Lions again. We're going to beat the Vikings twice. But if we could go out and we
Are we 100% sure of that right now, though, after this game?
We've never lost to them under Matt Nagy. Never.
That is true.
We struggled with Detroit, though, the first game, and Detroit's not looking too bad.
No, they're okay. They're coming back. I think they're like
they played the Saints really tough as well. So
yeah,
the Saints are a good team.
We need to come out next week and we need to smack Drew Brees in the mouth. We need to win that game. We need to win that game. I mean, we need to smack him in the mouth.
Last year they embarrassed us. That's when I really realized that it was
with Bridgewater too.
Yes.
With
Bridgewater and Latavius Murray. They didn't even have Kamara either.
Okay, but yeah. In all due respect, I mean, Drew Brees is a great quarterback, but he's not looking like Drew Brees this year. He's just not looking.
He's getting old.
He is getting old. That's why I think the Bears have a chance to win this game, and we have to win this game. We have to win this game, I think, if we're going to have a chance to make the playoffs.
We're obviously going to make a preview episode later on this week, but just in case, Mike, you're not on that one, are you saying this is a must-win season ender if they lose for the Bears this Sunday against New Orleans?
I think it is. I honestly think it is because I don't think we're going to beat the Titans. I honestly don't have a lot of faith in us beating the Packers at all this year. And I think we're going to lose another one of those games down the stretch besides that. So it's going to be really tough to get in the playoffs with that being said.
All right, Mike, right now, imagine Matt Nagy invited you in on the Bears Zoom call going into this week. Just give me something. What are you going to tell the team? Like, what's your game plan? Like, fire us up here.
We got to win. We got to win. That's simple. We just got to win.
You're not going to help tell them how to do that or what they have to do better?
I mean, what's the Saints defense looking like this year? Can someone pull up some stats?
I could pull it up on my phone. You keep making that point.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure whether we should run the ball more or pass the ball.
Running the ball doesn't seem to work for us very often. So
no, because we have a terrible offensive line, so it's going to have to be passing the ball.
Yeah, we need to get Rashad Coward out of there. I mean, we got some money. We got some money. Why don't we go pick up that Spain guy from Buffalo? I mean, just something. Because it's not working how it is now.
So the Saints defense, I'm just purely looking at the amount of points they've given up. And every single team has scored 23 or more points against them this year. Okay, so it must not be that good.
No, and I've watched my fair amount of Saints games, and they don't look like the Saints they have been the previous 2 years. They look beatable, especially Tom Brady and the Buccaneers have the number one offense in the NFL right now. Tom Brady's playing his best football. I don't know if you guys realize that, but the way we handle Tom Brady, that defense could show up at any point and do what they did against Brady. The problem is that the offense needs to do their part too, and they're not doing anything to help them out because it always can't be the defense. That's what happened last night. They were so gassed. Like the offense has to do something, and right now I don't know what the answer is. Like we need some offensive line help. We need better play calling. We need after Allen Robinson, Mooney. Like we need
another big time playmaker. I like Darnell Mooney. Don't get me wrong. We need another big time playmaker. I honestly think we need someone better than Allen Robinson on our team as an offensive weapon.
No, we need a lot of help.
Yeah. I feel like Cole Kmet can be that playmaker if we go to him more. That's what I think. I think we need to go to Cole Kmet more because you saw what he can do with that catch. I mean, that was a great catch. I feel like if you go to him more, I feel like he's going to make more big time plays.
Definitely has that. I mean, he should, but we talked a lot. It usually takes tight ends a year to really get going, so they might just not want to rush him in there. But I mean, it's just right now we have more questions than we do answers, I think, and that's never good, especially when you have a record this good because it makes you think that it's illegitimate.
Right. We got we're about to go into our hardest part of the schedule. We just started it, and we're going to continue it with the Saints and then the Titans. I don't know who we have after that, but then
I think it's a bye after the Titans.
You're right. And then the schedule lightens up. We got the Vikings twice. We got the Texans, which I think the Texans maybe could beat us just because their offense is so good. I mean, not so good, but you know what I'm saying.
But they're also talking about having a fire sale on wide receivers. So we're going to have to see who's still on the team when we play them.
And then we also got the Jaguars. So we got some couple easy games left. A couple last week, I thought the ceiling for this team was 13-3. I think that's completely out the window, but we should be a 10-6 team. If we're not a 10-6 team, that's just a disappointment. If we don't go these last 9 games, 5-4, that's kind of embarrassing. So 10-6 should be the bare minimum.
I'm open, but I feel like we're one big injury away, and I pray it doesn't happen, obviously, because this is my team. I feel like we're one big injury away from becoming Dallas. Like, I'm not even lying.
You said last night that Dallas can beat us. I hope you don't think that's true.
If they had Dak, they would beat us.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right. Any closing thoughts, guys? We've been on here long enough.
I mean, I have nothing else left to say. I mean, that was just terrible.
I'm glad we took a day to let it kind of digest because last night would have
just been emotional. We're the worst team of all time. We can't beat anybody. I feel like we're more rational now.
Exactly. Big Mike, any final thoughts?
Yeah, they got to play better next week because, I was hyping them up, and I went to the gym. I went to some other places, and everyone was like, oh, how's your day going? They have like a big smirk on their face. They knew how my day was going. It wasn't going good, man. My Bears lost. Like, you're killing me. You're killing me.
No, I know what you're saying. I feel like I embarrassed myself too, especially with like just posting a bunch of stuff on Snapchat, Twitter, hyping up our podcast. I'm like, no one wants to watch a podcast from a losing team, but it's whatever. All right, we'll be back on Thursday, probably with a picks episode, and then either Friday or Saturday with Saints pregame episode. Big Mike, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
All right, see you guys later.
See ya.